Griff. Tune in every weeknight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/C/Sirius Mindz RNTV. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Sirius Mindz for Sirius Mindz, seriously. Peace. Tapestry. A Warrior's Tapestry is a cultural tool for parents, teachers, coaches, guidance counselors, and mentors as a guide that can be incorporated into any rites of passage program. Ages range from 7 to age 30. Contact Professor Griff at 678-557-2919. That's 678-557-2919. Classes are only $10 per person. You can pay right on PayPal, www.paypal.me/ProfessorGriff Corp. That's www.paypal.me/ProfessorGriff Corp. These are 4 classes in succession every Thursday at 7 o'clock, starting September 12th. Classes are only $10. September 12th, Ancestors, Altars, Religion versus Spirituality, Beliefs versus Knowing, Pledge and Oaths. September 19th, Interobtainment. What's your assignment? Life's mission and purpose. Your game plan, time management, school education versus work and training. On September 26th, Health, Mental Slavery, the Prison of the Mind, Cognitive Dissonance, Goals, Keys to Obtain Them, The Code, Sports and the Ego, Music, Cultural Connection. October 3rd, Shaking My Damn Head. Social Media, Digital Heroin, Know Thyself, a book list, movie list, and much, much more. The classes are $10 a piece. Join the Warriors class every Thursday at 7 p.m. starting September 12th. This is Professor Griff, and you can contact me at 678-557-2919. Email me at siriusmindzinfo@gmail.com. Thank you.
Open your eyes to the endless possibilities of creating from your centerpiece. Experience your visions brought into reality and watch your dreams unfold naturally. If pictures are worth 1,000 words, let's create a story that's a masterpiece. Casso Visions. Capture your visions.
Going through the family, Joshua.
Huh?
Don't be going through the family.
Okay.
Don't be doing that. That's not good.
She said, oh my God, Joshua.
Like, you're getting too popular around here. Do I need to give you a beating? He done cut out. Joshua, do me a favor. Go run in the living room and on the table on the side where I was sitting and grab my headset for me.
All right. You called me Joshua.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
How?
She called me Joshua.
I heard her.
Wait. I'm sorry. Yes. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Peace, 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 ladies. How are you today?
Blessings.
Right,
Blessings to all.
Okay, so
peace and blessings.
So we have with us today, we have Miss Tony Floyd. We also have Alex Little with us and Carrie Cat Boogie from the Bronx with us. We like to welcome everyone to the Sister Cypher. We ask that you please hit the like button, subscribe, and share. And if you guys would like to support the platform and donate to the cause, we ask that you can send it through PayPal or Cash App or the Super Chat. And if you would like to participate on Tuesday and Thursday nights, we also ask that you would please email us. We'll drop the email address in the chat. But if you would like to participate, please let us know, and we will definitely include you with the chat information. So ladies, today what we're going to talk about is toxic masculinity. And I want to discuss this coin phrase that has been going around in the media and on pop culture. It's been one of those buzzwords. A lot of people have been coining this phrase and relating it to a lot of men and their interaction against all women. I'm not going to just say black women, but all women. And for those that don't know what the concept of toxic masculinity means, it's basically a term that psychology and media refer to for certain cultural norms that's associated with society.
And just cut it.
Can y'all mute your mic, please, until you come back on? Thank you. So traditional stereotypes of men as quote unquote being dominant, along with their, violence and sexual assault and domestic violence, is closely associated with toxic masculinity. And so basically, a lot of people say, boys will be boys, or men, it's just a man thing. It's just what they do. And for a lot of women, it's become very problematic. But then there's a flip side of that, which we'll get into a little bit later. But basically, you've been seeing a lot of men, especially black men, being criminalized by this argument. And so what I want to discuss with you ladies is, both sides of it, because as a woman, yes, I do feel that it's very prevalent in our community. But then on the flip side, I see how black men are being criminalized and their counterparts, the white men, are not being criminalized. Mm-hmm. So I definitely want to get your take on it, ladies. I want to know, what's your thoughts on this whole term on toxic masculinity? Like, do you believe that it's actually a concept that is prevalent in our community, or is it just something that the media is just coining and feminists are basically using as, an argument to push their agenda?
I'm more towards it's the media. They're using it pushing towards their agenda. I mean, this has been going on for a century, for years. I want people on the chat, including the men, to just figure out what kind of man they would like to be for themselves and for the community. We tend to just focus on what a man needs to be, what a woman role is. If a man seems to be emotional, he's considered as being weak. It goes for the same thing for women. If she's, let's say, outspoken, they tend to want women to just stay quiet and look pretty. So I'm on both sides. I'm not really sure. Maybe throughout the discussion, I probably have a one way of thinking, but my viewpoint is just to push their agenda, mm-hmm. which is to get the men that have done things long time ago, be more vocal and feminist, just shutting down men, and for black men just to push them back in the side and point fingers at them for whatever they have done in the past or continue to do. But it's not just black men, it's all types of men that have been doing things throughout the century if we go back. But I don't know if anyone else wants to give their opinion on the matter.
Hey, I'll chime in real quick, Kat. I agree. And what I'll say is when we're talking about toxic masculinity, the word toxic means poison. So again, the word toxic means poison. We're not talking about being a man's man and being, you know, strong and proud. And we're talking about poisonous masculinity, which is misogyny, that leads to domestic violence, that leads to indoctrinations that can enslave a whole entire population. So I just want to say that from you, Ms. Tony.
Hey, well, I agree. I agree with Cat Boogie. I think the media just like to criminalize and just make our men look bad, not only to us, but to the rest of the world. So, our men, most men have a narcissistic, masculine mentality that they think everything's supposed to be their way. Yes, they do. But when it comes to our community, it's just like it's extra.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. And a lot of conservatives are basically alleging that when a woman charges a man of having this quote unquote toxic masculinity, it's an attack on manhood itself. And they're basically saying, oh, well, we already have a high rate of like suicide and drug overdose. And so you guys are being too hard on men. And then I look at it from the flip side. It's like, well, maybe you have to change your approach, because if you don't see that you're doing something wrong, then you're just a part of the problem if you're not a part of the solution.
Absolutely.
And so,
Exactly.
you know, so it again, you know, newspapers, media, you know, the pop culture, everybody's basically saying or attributing it to like rape or like violence, sexism, you know, and it's all being, I guess, portrayed or forced upon women. So what's your thoughts on that, ladies?
I mean, I think men should be held accountable for their action. I mean, I think I watched a video and they said something about men tend to keep their mouth closed when they see a woman being raped or assaulted. They don't stand together. They don't fight for women as much as they should. I think that's where we're going towards, like these rape allegations, being sexually abused, long history of, you know, men just doing things and getting away with it. And now when we have this Me Too movement, we are actually, not us per se, but, you know, the movement is just actually to call out these type of men who have been doing things like for a century, for years, and getting away with it. So my take is just, I think they should just focus exactly on what is it and why should a man be able to stand up and not be called out as being seen as a sissy, a weak man, for letting his emotion be known, or take a stand on protecting women.
That's a great point. This is Alex. Sorry, I didn't say hi to everybody. Hello, chat room. Professor Griff.
Yeah, Alex.
Professor Griff, peace. Professor Griff, peace. Peace to you, peace to Soleil, peace to the chat. Sorry, I'm moving around. But that's a wonderful point. And to all the gentlemen in the chat room, hello to you. We would like to know what you think also. And Quan, you brought up a good point. When we're talking about toxic masculinity, there are those, unfortunately, who are conservative and white racist supremacists like Richard Spencer, who are against toxic masculinity, and they think it doesn't exist. They think that the women who believe in toxic masculinity are only feminists, and they're usually 45 years old and at home with cats. So they're against it. They think that this is a created diversion for the woman to rule. And when we bring it back to our community, the woman has always been reserved as hierarchy, as beautiful, as not something to contain or something to put out or control, but the person who creates the nation. Without the woman, none of us would be here. So I think that when we focus on masculinity, it's great for a man to stand up and be proud and have pride, especially our Black men. I want a strong Black man who can articulate himself, who's self-actualized, who is financially savvy, who is stable, who is solid, who is, you know, a dominating, loving man's man. When we're talking about toxic masculinity, the problem with it is because it becomes poisonous. And that's why you have 2-year-olds on YouTube being recorded saying, I'm the man, I'm the mama, I'm the man, beating their chest. So there's a difference here. And I think that it's okay for a man to share his emotions and to show his emotions. And that doesn't make him a flaming, soft wimp. That allows him to have a part of a feminine aspect that he can showcase. You know, it's okay to be able to cry. It's okay to be able to, you know, have some form of a feeling to show that side of yourself. So with toxic masculinity, it just breeds this type of contempt throughout the community, to where not only do I need to control my woman, control her finances, control where she go, but I'm going to control myself from being human, because I ain't about to cry and you ain't about to say nothing to me, and y'all shut up and sit down. That's the poisonous we speak of.
Okay, Tony, you want to add anything?
But yeah, actually, I think that's the problem. Men, for so long, have not been accountable for their actions. And now that we are speaking up and want them to be accountable, now there's a problem. I just think that all of this stuff comes from, you know, the other side, you know, a different community trying to force these things upon us. Our men has enough problems to go through every day as it is. They got to deal with it for us. They got to deal with it on the job. They got to deal with it on the kids. Now they got to deal with it in their environment. And it's just not fair. You want the man to be strong. You want him to be the provider. You want him to, you know, provide and protect. That's what a man's job is. But in that, he needs to show his emotion to his woman, to be sensitive with his woman. Let her know if you're feeling sad, if there's a problem. You know, there's not a problem with that. Like I think that it's special that if my man sit me down and really, not so much bare his soul, but share his feelings with me. Tell me what's really on your mind. Because if we're going to do this thing, we got to do this thing together. And I need to know what's going on with you, just like you need to know what's going on with me.
Right on, Tony.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's dig a little deeper with this, right? Because I want to know, like, as a Black woman, how do you view Black men in the community, or as your mate? I mean, do you expect him to be masculine, tough, strong, a leader in his family, a pillar in the community, making six or more figures, or should he be the breadwinner? I mean, if we're talking about toxic masculinity, you know, but if we're going to talk about toxic masculinity, right, and we want to take on a quote unquote feminist principle, can he be all of those things in this toxic masculinity Me Too era? Especially when dealing with white supremacy. Can he be all of those things and still, quote unquote, be within this realm of white supremacy? Because again, we as women, yes, we do want a lot from our men. But if we want him to be strong, tough, a leader, a pillar in the community, the man where every man respects him, and, you know, all of these things, can he still operate under all of those ideas? Ladies, I want to get your take on that.
Well, me, myself, I like an alpha man, a man who's in charge, a man who knows what he wants, confident, take care of his family. But it's nothing wrong with having a man who has a little side to him, like we spoke about, like a beta. I think that's what they call him, a little in tune with his emotion. I also am a mother. So therefore, if I have a male child, I want my child to actually follow in the footsteps of his dad or a male figure. Not saying that being emotional is actually, you know, something that I look forward into my male child, but I just want him to see something strong, something that's going to bring food, to put money in the table, take care of his family. It's nothing wrong, once again, with showing your emotion, but we have been going through a lot as a Black community, and the last thing we need, we're losing many of our brothers, no offense to anyone, to the gay community, you know, and that's one thing that I struggle with a lot. So I'm not saying they're not strong enough or whatever, but look what's going on. We're losing our black men to a lot of things, not only violence, not only incarceration, but it's everything all together. I think we need to just have our men focus on being strong and taking that leadership role.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. That was beautifully put. And you know what I don't want, you know, is a toxic masculine man. I don't want a man that's going to be bragging, or that's going to be void of emotions, or that's going to, you know, repress his emotions, or try to fight me, or yell at me. Again, that's coming from a place of like domestic violence. We don't need men that are going to break down a spirit or break down. I think an ideal successful marriage or relationship of any sort has balance, and it's going to promote and uplift and have harmony and unity. So when we think of toxic masculinity, I have some people in my family that I'm very close to that have those roles of a narcissistic, dominant, controlling type vibe. And it's bred generationally. I mean, it is. I mean, some of our fathers, some of our brothers, some of our, you know, cousins, and some of our teachers, you know, and it's real. I'll give you an example. You know, at a family reunion, it was a gentleman, and this is a scenario. Maybe some people in the chat can agree with this. If you got an uncle or, you know, a father or a brother that's toxic with their masculinity at a family reunion, old school, you know, one of the gentlemen gave his recant of something that happened. And the wife said, no, baby, it happened like this. And he punched her in the stomach. He punched her so hard she peed. And,
oh, wow.
You know, and the conversation kept going. But in that scenario, you don't talk back. And that's how it be. So we're talking about that. You see what I'm saying? We're talking about the masculinity role that goes above and beyond to have this pride type narcissistic ego that's not healthy. And it's out of fear.
Right.
Anger is secondary. It's a secondary emotion. So again, when we're talking about that poisonous, I'm the man, I'm the father, you listen to me, you talk when I say, I will control you. That's what we're talking about. And that is not going to lend to healthy children.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes I also think, I don't mean to cut you, Tony, cut you off. I'm just gonna make it brief. Sometimes I think we put too much emphasis on what a man needs to do. And as women as well in the community, we need to, as you stated, Alex, let the man know what we're going to tolerate, what we're not going to tolerate, and how we can better our relationship in the community as well, and raise healthy men, male, child, and female. Just respect each other a little more. That's just my take on it as well. So I do agree with many of the things that you said. Go ahead, Tony.
The first thing I want to say, I want to speak on this feminism thing that's going on nowadays. That's not meant, feminism was never meant to include us.
Exactly.
Feminism was never meant to include us. You know, it always meant to include, you know, white women because they feel like they're just so helpless that they just can't do anything without a man. That's their attitude. Not to say that we can, but our attitude as, you know, people of color are different. Like, yes, we have those dominant men, as Alex said, that, you know, I'm the man, I'm the this, I'm the that. But then again, you also have those ones who are not like that, who care about their woman and willing to work with her, who help the woman nurture the children, because like I said, you have a young king coming up. My daughter is older, my daughter is grown now, but I appreciate the fact that my daughter had a dad that was sensitive to her and didn't always say, oh, well, that's your problem, get away from me. You don't need to be doing that anyway. You know, he was willing to sit down and listen to her and any issues that she had. Given that being said, these white supremacists are pushing their agenda too much on us as a people. And something needs to be done about that as far as I'm concerned. What can be done? I don't know. I don't have the answer for everything, right? But I just feel that they're pushing their agenda and people are falling forward for it. And, you know, it shouldn't be that way.
I agree. I guess what I was trying to get to is, you know, do you want the Shaka Zulu, the strong, you know, black masculine man, or do you want, you know what I mean? Like, where's the balance? Like, where, like,
right.
for us,
can't you have a combination of both? Can't you have
you can, and that's what I'm
strong?
Yes, yeah, and that's what I'm getting to, because you can have it, but you don't have to be brutal or violent with it.
Right.
You know, like, yes, we do want our men to be strong, and I want my man to have a backbone. I want him to make decisions. I want him to be a pillar in the community. I want him to be making money just like I'm making money. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, he can be all of those things, still fight this white supremacy system and not be toxic, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Yes, it does make sense.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It does
Absolutely.
make sense.
Yeah, so it's just a lot of women, like there's some women who go through domestic violence, and you know, after going out of those relationships, it's like if a man is not beating her, mistreating her, disrespecting her, she doesn't feel love because that's all she knows. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
exactly. I had a friend one time that told me that she feel that if a man, excuse my French, but I'm gonna put it to her how she said it, if a man don't beat your ass at least one time, he don't love you. And I'm looking at her like, really?
Wow. Oh my God. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, who told you that? Like, no.
It's the conditioning, right? It's the conditioning of it.
It's the conditioning. Yeah. Yeah.
And since we're talking about this Me Too movement, and you know, let's talk about feminism versus toxic masculinity. Because if we could just keep it a buck, it seems like the only persons being criminalized and demonized right now in this Me Too movement are Black men. I mean,
absolutely.
I look at the Jeffrey Epstein and the Harvey Weinsteins of the world versus R. Kelly and Bill Cosby. Not to say that R. Kelly didn't do it, and not to say that maybe Bill Cosby didn't do it. Who knows? Because again, in each case is different. But it just seems like a lot of them are being criminalized, and the faces that you're seeing in the media are Black faces. Jeffrey Epstein, he took the easy way out. He killed himself, or supposedly killed himself. Who knows? He might be on an island alive somewhere hiding.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Harvey Weinstein, basically, he was
just
able
walking
to
around. Yes.
all of his victims.
Yes.
You know, keep it on the hush. And I notice anytime he goes in court, it's just, I don't like to really do conspiracy theories, but at the end of the day, I notice, and this has been as of lately, anytime Weinstein is in court, there's another charge against R. Kelly coming out that the media is talking about and only focusing on. And I said, well, that's interesting, you know, and it's just, I look at it and it's just like, yes, if you are violently mistreating Black women, your ass need to be in jail. If you are raping, beating, mistreating, being disrespectful, absolutely, you need to get everything thrown at your ass, period, because you come from a Black woman. Understand me? But at the end of the day, it's like, I want it to be fair. If we're going to criminalize and let the Black man be the face of this whole Me Too, I want to see everybody get criminalized. And I don't want to see people being able to, quote unquote, get away and pay off their victims, and yet our Black men are going to jail and they're not giving them an opportunity or that same opportunity to pay them off. And not saying that it's right, but it's just like, be fair across the board. So I want to your takes on this, lady. Like, I want to know what's your thought on this whole Me Too movement and, you know, how it relates to toxic masculinity.
That was powerful. I mean, how are we going to put America in jail? How are we going to put England in jail? I mean, and when it comes to like the Me Too movement, I think the focus has been taken off the real agenda. And even with the feminist movement, that wasn't for Black women. It was infiltrated and taken over because white women have never not men. And can somebody put their phone on mute? Sorry. white women have never not have their men. You see what I'm saying? So even let's shout out one of our great ancestors, Ida B. Wells. If anybody knows about Ida B. Wells, she was in the movement and she was up front for her people. And one of her quotes, the way we right our wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them. So let's talk about that truth. Like you said, Quan, accountability. And every time there's something about a scandal, whether it be pedophilia, whether it be some type of violence, with Epstein, it was in the news one day, then the next week we have a chicken challenge. You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like it's a diversion to keep us distracted from the real issues at hand. Because the Me Too movement was pointing out these horrible things that are happening, but now it's almost as if only the black man is at fault. When we just had a global pedophile scandal that involved thousands of children and many, many, many men who happen to be white in a part of that. So I just think that we got to stay focused, and the focus is talking about toxicity. And again, toxic is poisonous. When it comes to our men, yes, women, we do want our men to be strong. We want our men to be solid, but there can be a balance in a combination of having those softer traits, just like Tony Floyd mentioned. But that doesn't automatically make a man weak because he's able to be in tune with his emotions. And toxic masculinity breeds that. That's why we have a lot of men out here who are using, who are abusing, because they're void of that feminine aspect of being gentler and soft and being in tune. Because society forces this false idea of being this strong, powerful, dominating, controlling force to where I will dominate you. And if you're not
white supremacy to me.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's a perfect point. White supremacy. Let's look at white supremacy in itself. White racist supremacy. It's about destruction. It's about domination. It's about death. It's about deception, and it's about control. Why? It's all fear-based.
Absolutely. So I want to read something real quick. Since you said that, Alex, let's I'm going to pull this article right quick. And basically it says, the name of the article is called Good Man, Bad Man, right? And so it says, black men, unlike the image of the violent white man, enhances masculinity, has been socially and historically constricted in depicting such negative characteristics. It says that black masculinity is used as opposition to white masculinity due to the racism in which this country was built upon. It says that black masculinity has to be instated to a higher degree than white masculinity because of the slavery and the Jim Crow era. And within these time periods, black men were not allowed to perform duties of what is considered masculine because it would not allow power to the black race. The controlling images of the coon, brute, tom, and the pickaninny were always to degrade and hold black men to a lower esteem. Although stereotypes of being lazy, ignorant, childlike, angry, overly strong, oversexed, crazed, animalistic were depicted on black men in the media. One recent example was the cover of Vogue when LeBron James was pictured with supermodel Giselle. He was depicted in the same image as King Kong, which was seen as brute. And even when they try to act within white masculine standards, it was not enough to define black masculinity. Although these articles only address masculinity, they can be turned into discuss against white women. And basically it was saying that, you know, when LeBron took this image with Giselle, they started depicting him as like King Kong, right? And this whole idea of, you know, how we are always animalistic and here's this frail, you know, damsel in distress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that needs to be saved. And that's how they depicted him on this. So it's like a little inside joke from white supremacy, but he was totally clueless about it. You know, he didn't even realize that it was happening, but it was an inside joke. So again, going back to what you were saying, Alex, about how we are depicted historically by white supremacy, you know, we were not allowed to do certain things because they didn't want power in the hands of Black men and women for that matter. We had to be the pickaninny, we had to be the mammy, we had to be the Sambo, we had to be the coon, you know, because again, they didn't want us to have power. So I want to get your takes on that, ladies.
Yeah, I just seen that picture. If everyone in the chat can go take a peek real quick and pull up that picture from Vogue with LeBron James and Giselle Bundchen. You know, it's funny because they got his mouth all hanging open like he's hollering, and they got her sitting on his lap like the Statue of Liberty, like a little trinket. I mean, I think that symbolism right there is just what the problem is. And even again, when we examine white racism supremacy, why are you afraid? That's the real issue. Why are you afraid of a different set of people because they look different? Why do you feel the necessary to civilize somebody because they have rituals that are different, a different economic system, a different way of living? That's the problem. So even to depict him, who is a man's man, with a healthy marriage and a healthy career, I mean, I don't get it. Why do they have the Black male looking like a savage, looking like an idiot, looking like a docile creature? Why can't they be depicted for who they are? Gentle, loving, strong, proud, mighty. I mean, a perfect example, Professor Griff. Professor Griff is masculine, but it's not toxic. It's a balance, and he's strong, dignified. And that's a small example because this is Sirius Mindz, and this is his channel. But what I'm saying is, you're absolutely right about how the Black man is showcased, either being weak or Sambo-ish, or it's a cartoon joke. I mean, that depiction is not an exact or accurate account of reality. There are plenty of successful men who have a feminine aspect that utilize it, who respect themselves, who respect their women in their life, who respect the children, who are financially savvy, educated, you know, strong, solidified individuals. So it's all a distraction to keep us suppressed and oppressed, because when we find out who we are, and for those of us who know who they are, it's okay for you to be who you are without having to be toxic in your masculinity. Just because you're not a masculine, super overdose, ego-charged man doesn't automatically default you to some flaming, you know, sissy-type weak module. And that's nothing against the gay community. I'm saying that it's okay to be masculine and to stand in it. And having Black pride is a perfect example of doing such, because Black pride is not white racism supremacy.
And also, Black pride does not mean that we hate white people. We hate the white supremacy system, but it doesn't mean that we hate white people. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of people get that twisted. It's like, just because we are pushing Black pride and Black power, it doesn't mean that we hate you guys. Yeah, we may hate some of the acts of white supremacy, you know what I mean? But it's not like we saying, oh, we hate all white people. Because no, we do have some allies. I'm not going to say many, but we do have some allies. You know what I mean? So I just want to throw that in. You have anything to say, lady?
Yeah, because we're pro-Black don't mean that we're anti-white.
Tony. Check your mic, love.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I was saying that all the time you're pro-Black don't mean that you're anti-white. You know, that's not it. You know, we're just fighting against a system that wasn't put in place by us or wasn't put in place by, you know, any of the Caucasian people that we know. This came from years and years and years of history, you know, of history that this thing came on. But yeah, I think that, like some people seem to think that a white woman is every Black man's fantasy. So I think that's why he was kind of like depicted in that way, like Captain was saying, like the damsel in distress, and and the big Black man got to come save her because she can't save herself.
Miss Tony, your mic is going in and out. If you can check it for us, I'm not sure what's going on with your mic, but you're going in and out like every other phrase. But while you check your mic, I do want to read this right quick. It's by an author by the name of Byron Hurt, and the name of his piece is called Beats and Rhymes. And basically he's stating that, you know, men should take a hard look at themselves. to basically, you know, address the stereotypical masculinity in the Black culture. And he's quoted by saying, "We're in this box. And in order to be in that box, you have to be strong, you have to be tough, you have to have a lot of girls, you have to have a lot of money, you have to be a player or a pimp, and you got to be in control. You have to dominate other men, other people." And it says, you know, if you are not in any of those things, then people will call you soft or weak or a pussy or a chump or a faggot. And nobody wants to be any of those things. So everybody has to stay within this box. What's your take on this, ladies?
I totally agree. Not to jump in. I mean, for years, we have seen our brothers being depicted in music, rap. Let's look at rap music, how they treat their women. Some commercials, some movies. And it goes way back. I mean, men have been has been seen as those that are in control, that want to take advantage of women, no matter what age, no matter how they look. And I think that's what media does. It is a distraction. I think somebody mentioned it earlier, Tony and Alex and Quan. It's a distraction. It just wants us to be fearful of our Black men. And as women, we have to know and respect our men. And we have to give them a chance to also let them know that it's okay. It's okay for them to show their emotion. And I think that's not what they get from us sometimes. But in the media, as we all know, that's what they want us to feel about our men, our own men, to be fearful of them, to not trust them. And I think this has been going on for years. Just like during slavery, they used our men to rape us, to keep having these babies, and just, you know, property. And that hasn't gone away. We look at our men sometimes, not all of us, and sometimes we do question, do they really love us? Are they really for us? And we have to get together and stop that. Stop the feeling that whatever they put out there is actually true about our men. We have men from all different types of race who rape, kill, domestic violence. It's not just our men.
Yeah, no, I get that. So, lady, what's your take on this whole idea of men having to be or operate within this quote unquote box? Like you have to be, you know, a pimp or a player, or have to be in control, have to have a lot of money, have to have a lot of girls, or are you going to be seen as a pussy, weak, chump, faggot? And he's basically saying nobody wants to be any of those things. What's your thoughts on that, Alex and Tony?
I think that I think that Kat just said something very powerful. We need to respect our men. Our men need to know that we support them, we love them, we respect them, we honor them, we cherish them. We understand that you're in a system that's not set up for you or us, and we value you no matter how hard you have it. And that's not always easy, because sometimes as women, we have to bear the brunt of everything. And if our men are reinforced with our love, if they're reinforced with our support, then we'll have that connectivity to where they know, you know, I am a man. And when we're talking about masculinity, we're talking about traits and behaviors of men. And you can still have an assertiveness, you can still be courageous, you can still have leadership roles, you can still be independent, and you can still be a strong man. We're talking about the poisonness that creeps into that makes it that toxic type of way. And that's what we're not for. So again, I think that if we can all take accountability and start loving the Black man more and respecting him more and honoring him more and understanding that it hasn't been easy for him either in this transition here in America, and with these laws and everything being so, like we finally made it. Slavery is over. Now we're included in society. What more do you want? Well, that's not actually a reflection of how it works. And there's tension in this country, no matter what we say. So I think it's okay for a man to be a man's man and be masculine and own that. However, also men need to identify when they're being toxic too in their traits and their behaviors. And ownership over women is not okay.
Mm-hmm. I agree. What's your take on it, Tony?
I agree. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I agree 100% with what Alex said. All because we're in a relationship don't mean that you own me. We're supposed to be in this thing together. I don't own you. You don't own me. We're just in the supposed loving relationship, trying to do our thing, trying to raise our kids, trying to build something. Mm-hmm. You know, it shouldn't be about domination.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Okay, so in hip hop right now, let's take it a little bit further with the music industry. Because
Yes,
right
please.
now in hip hop, you know, the stripper thought culture is being pushed on us and promoted heavily. You see artists like Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, City Girls, and Nicki Minaj, and variations of all these other women. And on the flip side, you have like the mumble rappers and the gangster music, which depicts violence, drugs, and misogyny. And you hear it a lot in a lot of the rhymes from I want to say probably a good 80 to 90% of the music that's out right now. And, you know, my question is like, where's the balance? Why do we have to be the stereotypical drug dealer or gangster or stripper? Like, where's the balance that shows the conscious side of rap and the positivity in the Black community? Like, to me, you know, our music, yeah, it can be fly, but at the same time, it can be misogynistic. It can be, you know, very toxic, you know, and all women are bitches and hoes, and, oh, I got this amount of women, and, oh, you know, like, yeah, I do this to her, and it's just vulgar. And for me, it's like, I want to see the balance. I want to see the refreshing side of it. That's why I appreciate a Kendrick Lamar or Kambata, or, you know what I mean? Like, I appreciate that kind of balance, but it's not enough of it to make a difference because you hear it so much. And again, it's like, you know, you got this whole thotty era that they're pushing so hard on us. And it's like this being forced down our throats. And it's like, you know, nah, where's the women that's spitting game that can throw some bars, but it's not talking about how she's getting over on a man or stripping, or it's all about $1. So I want to get your take on it, ladies. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm with you, Quan. I want to balance as well, but we all know that these corporations don't give two damn, you know what, about us. If you do seem to be on a positive rim, you get no airplay. We know that for sure. No funding, no sponsor. There's plenty of corporations who prefer to see negative image of us Black people as opposed to positive image. You have like ProfessorGriff and all the other rappers who were there for a period of time and then they faded away just to make room for these mumble rappers, as we call them now, and rappers with no conscious mind, don't give a damn about anything and just about the dollar bill. But I would love to see some balance, Quan, so I'm with you with that. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm with you on that too, Quan. It's just today, consciousness does not sell.
Unfortunately, and it's needed. Like it's really needed right now, especially with everything that's going on in the political realm and culturally, and how race is now. Race has always been at the forefront, but it's like now it's magnified, and I think from our community, we need to hear the voices like reverberating through the community and giving us answers on this. And like, for me, I don't see it. And, you know, I'm just hoping that we get more Kambatas, we get more Kendrick Lamars. You know what I mean? We get more ProfessorGriffs or Soleil in the industry. We don't see it. Alex, you're in this industry. I love to hear your opinion.
That's so funny. Thank you. You know, you bring a good point. And when we talk about gangster rap, I mean, gangster rap was a reflection of that reality with experiencing police brutality. So it's a reflection of the experience. And I mean, we do have great women out there. I mean, you got Ciroc. I mean, you got Sample the Great. You do have Soleil. You got Rhapsody. You got Lauryn Hill. So we need more conscious sisters who are going to guide and engage and be allowed in the mainstream. Okay, so that's another thing too. And I know this is about toxic masculinity, but toxic femininity is a whole nother issue too. So when we do have these women out here who are giving one side of the coin, you know, my P is better than yours. I got so much money, I don't need you in. I got diamonds, I got weed, I'll beat your A. Okay, that's only one side of the coin. Let's talk about the other women out here who are as successful, who live a different lifestyle, who promote natural, holistic, healthy lifestyles. Where are those women at? Because we have them, we are them, Why are they not being showcased and illustrated in the mainstream music?
Yeah, and I think that's the core of the issue. You know, it seems like the negativity, the ugly truth about our community, it's being elevated. And obviously, you know how they say, like, it's...
That's what sells. Mm-hmm.
That's what sells.
Yeah, I really didn't want to say it, but I'm going to go ahead. Since you are absolutely correct. Like, but for me, like...
What she said? What was said?
I said that's what sells. That's what makes money.
Gotcha. I hear you. Unfortunately, it does. Sex will always sell. Go ahead, Quan. I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah, and no, you're good. Like, again, you may have a fire beat coming from Cardi B, but she's not talking about nothing. Her and even Nicki Minaj, you know what I mean? Or Meg Thee Stallion. I literally try to give people an opportunity, you know, and they may have a fly beat on it, you know, but it's like, you talking about sex, and it's like, you know, it's just, this to me can only be played in a strip club if you really want to just keep it all the way a buck. And we have to look at that. We have to look at the female aspect of this whole toxic behavior. You know, you can't, you know, for me as a Black woman, your stance should always be, I'm a queen, respect me, this is how I'm coming. Yeah, I can spit the bars, but you're going to give me the respect. Like back in the day, how you have a Queen Latifah, or you have a Yo-Yo, or somebody, like, it's like, yeah, they was like bringing it to you, and they had like the you know, the beats with it, but at the same time too, they let it be known, respect is everything. No, you gonna respect me. And they didn't have to cuss or do none of that to do it, or take off their clothes, or look like strippers, or any of that stuff. And it's sad because our young girls, our daughters, our nieces are looking up to these women, and they fangirling. They want to be like that. And I'm just like, no, this is not who you want to be like. Like, I understand the music industry is going to do what it's going to do. But that's why we need the Black independent record companies, the Black independent media, so that we can make sure that we're pushing our own agenda and not somebody else's agenda. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's what it's going to take. We need to kind of, if it means just distributing our own, creating our own streaming devices and platforms, if it means like we have to basically just completely get off the plantation, and by plantation meaning having self-sufficiency, having ownership and everything, policing our own communities. And if we don't have these things, we're always going to have this kind of bull crap on a stream. They play this stuff on a radio. And I'm just like, nah, this is not it. Where did we get lost along the way? Because rap is not that old. Hip hop is not that old. You know, so this is like, where did we go wrong? At what point did it pivot and get to the point that where we are right now? What's your take on this, ladies? Because am I the only one that's feeling this? Am I the only one that's like, what's going on with us? Like, what's the problem?
No, not at all, because I felt that way too. I'm sitting there listening to this song, and you know, I grew up, you know, when I think I may be a little older than you ladies, but I grew up whenever, you know, whenever rap and hip hop first began, and the music was different. It was happier. You know, it was happier. It was positive. You learned something. You understood something. And then all of a sudden, you got this kill cops, and we going to do this. You got your gangster rap. I'm wondering myself, when did the tide turn? And it seemed like it was a gradual change.
It was.
It was kind of like a gradual, kind of like sneaky type of change. You know, you heard it a little bit. The next thing you know, bam. You know, anything that was good and happy about hip hop was gone, and all you heard was shooting cops, and like you said, my pee is better than yours. Like,
yeah. Unfortunately, that's what the norm is nowadays, and eventually, because you know, rap goes through these like waves of trends, and then it changes. But to be honest with you, like, I think I started seeing a turn when gangster rap came in, but I kind of understand, like, with people like Ice-T and, NWA and all those, they were basically like talking about police brutality and how police were killing our black. So it got very vulgar because it's like the tension between them and the police is like they were trying to basically put it out there. But then I started seeing it pivoting more, where it's like, okay, it's not just about gangster rap. Now you're talking about selling dope in the community. I mean, I can take it all the way to Master P when his whole album is called Ghetto Dope. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, it's like I started seeing in probably late 90s, early 2000s when they started to pivot. And it's just like now we're at the point where we're having women being glorified as being strippers. Now, granted, don't get me wrong. I love and appreciate the fact that somebody like a Cardi B has turned her life around somewhat, got herself out the strip club. Now she's basically making a living, right? We can applaud her for that. But at the same time, too, it's like recently, what's his name? Oh, God, I can't even remember his name. What's the one who ran So Def? What is his name?
Jermaine Dupri.
He was making a comment about, the female rappers and being in this industry. He was like, basically, everybody sound the same, and it's basically like strip rap. Or whole hop. So basically, everybody got into their feelings about it, but it's true. And the reason why I'm talking about this, ladies, because if we're going to talk about the men, we got to address these women as well. We can't leave their asses out. And at the end of the day, if we're going to address our men and make them stand accountable, we got to address these women, our so-called women, and make them just as accountable as the man is. Because we're not going to just have our men together, and we're not going to pull our sister to the side and pull her together as well. You know what I'm saying? So what's your take on it, ladies? Like, what's your thoughts on what I've just discussed?
Accountability. Again, accountability, because Cardi B is not the only one who left the strip club. And what I would like to see her do as a responsible mother and a responsible wife, as a successful Black woman, because she is Dominican and we are all Black. And thank you, Professor Griff, for pointing that to me about Jennifer Lopez, about being Puerto Rican. Yes, she's still Puerto Rican and she's still a sister. So what I say is, what I would like to see Cardi B do is write a book about her experiences on how she used to be in that domestic violence relationship and how she got out of it and used stripping as a platform and then went into the business world and became successful. That's what I would love to see her do to promote a healthier lifestyle. Now, I'm not attacking her music. I like some of her songs. Some of them are inappropriate and kind of a little bit provocative, but it's for adult music, and they should be in adult atmospheres so that our children don't have access. But again, if we look at it from a broader perspective and a serious mindset, when we think about Nicki Minaj being from Trinidad, okay, the Caribbean, and we think about Cardi B being from Dominican Republic and, Trinidad, the Caribbean, those are two strong places where past shows us where Black leaders came from. When you think about the Pan-African conferences with the Caribbeans and the Civil Rights Movement and that unity, that helped get Ghana its independence. So if we can change the agenda and what's being said, we can ignite this nation and maybe actually have a geographical land base here, just like Africa, where we can have that ownership and promote positivity and have the feminine masculine aspect working simultaneously in unity.
Agreed. I'm so glad you're bringing up this point, Alex, because, right now, if you look at what's being discussed in a lot of different platforms, a lot of people are missing that point of how important that unity is. You're going to always have the knuckleheads. You're going to always have somebody that's going to go against the grain when you're trying to push an agenda for us collectively, right? And so I think, again, in this case, on this particular topic, we all need to get on board. If we're going to say that we're going to the next level and we're trying to get not only our minds right spiritually and our pockets right financially and our communities and what have you, we need to get it all the way together. Like over the last few weeks, when we've been discussing Sister Cypha, if you take notice, everything that we've been discussing is how we can push our community for? Because it's one thing for us to just be shooting the breeze and talking about these topics, but at the end of this, I want everybody to walk away with solutions. Because what's the whole point of us blowing out hot air if we're not going to have a solution for this, right? Like, I want us to be able to look at what we're discussing, and everyone in the chat room as well, and apply these things. Because again, we're not going to be able to take everyone with us. We know that. We're not going to be able to take everybody with us, but at the end of the day, I hope that we are able to at least, take the majority that are willing to go and willing to take it to the next level. Because again, I'm looking at this whole thing. It's so many different levels of this whole idea of toxic masculinity. Yeah, it affects us as women, but at the same time too, we got to address these women that are doing the exact same thing what these men are doing as well. Because if you listen to this music, of how they robbing dudes and getting over dudes, that's not what we do. That's not what queens do. You know what I mean? So that's what I want us to look at. I want to get your last thoughts, ladies. We're going to close out in a couple of minutes. I do want to get your take or what, you want to add to the chat. Please, if you can, check your mics, because again, you've been going in and out. So I just want everybody to be able to check their mics and make sure it's good. But I want to get your final takes on it, ladies.
Well, Quan, I'm with you 100%. I agree with the statement that you made. As women, we also need to look at ourselves, check ourselves, and put out something out there that's more positive, and stop going behind this money-making machine. Whatever the elites, the white man, the corporation wants you to put out there, that's what you're going to put out there, because you're just interested in making that money. That goes for the brothers. You brought up a good point about the music being good back then, and if you notice, many corporations, many music businesses were not behind the music back then, only until they saw a growth in it, and that's when they got involved, and that's when the music started changing. So it's the interference of other people coming in that will always keep us separated and always tell us what to do and what's more popular. So I think we just need to be more connection between all of us, and figure out that we need to put positive music out there.
We don't want you to limit your emotional range. You don't have to be a robot. It's okay to show who you are. Feelings does not make you weak. Emotions do not make you weak. Having discipline to control them, that's wonderful to exercise. But you deserve to share the variety of emotions you have. And it's okay to do that and keep your masculinity. You can still be assertive. You can still have leadership roles. You can still be strong. But don't become a Hitler or a Leopold and dominate. That's what we don't want. It's okay. And for those that don't have a good relationship with the women in your life, if you had a bad relationship with your mother or your aunts or your sisters, there's still time to develop new, healthy relationships that don't take but give.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. I agree with you, ladies, 100%. I think we should have started this chat with a disclaimer to all the guys. This was not meant to bash. This was not meant to hate on, and this was not meant to disrespect. We were only coming to uplift and try to find a solution to the problems at hand.
Absolutely. I agree with it, Tony. Men, please, 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 please don't get it twisted. We are not here to bash you. All we're doing is basically pointing out the things that do exist in this community and outside of this community. But trust me, we are more on your side than not. This is not a bitch fest where we're here to just dog out black men.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
I'm calling I'm calling the women too. I'm calling them out on their BS too. So it's not just about bashing men. I mean, it does exist. It does affect us. I mean, our black men are being criminalized in this Me Too movement, and we seem to be the target. And I do also see, again, going back to the women, they need to get their stuff together too. And I just want us collectively to understand the issue at hand, because you never know when somebody's going to say, well, he put his hand on my shoulder and that's rape. We need to understand what this means. If it's toxic behavior, if you make somebody feel uncomfortable in this Me Too era, it's like they're moving the goalposts. They're saying what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And for a long time, is a lot of things that have been accepted that should not have been accepted. You get what I'm saying? So I just want everybody to understand that, again, we're not against you, we're not bashing you, but there are some misfits in our community that need to be addressed.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying? So we just want to thank everyone for joining us here on Sister Cypher. Please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Professor Griff, we want to thank you. For those that don't know, I actually went and met Professor Griff last night at the San Canofa cafeteria here in Dallas, and it was a beautiful event. It's a vegan soul food restaurant, and the event was wonderful. They were actually celebrating their 3rd year anniversary, and for those of you that don't know, restaurants, they give it a year. Restaurants don't last longer than a year, and then you do a Black-owned business. Yeah, so give that brother his props. You know, he's celebrating 3 years, and he's doing a lot of positive things in the community. We had oh my God, we had an awesome time. So I do want to thank Professor Griff for inviting me to that event last night. We're going to make sure that we have more events coming up. We ask that if you want to get on Sister Cypher, please make sure you email Professor Griff. I'll drop the email address in the chat room. If you want to donate to the platform, please hit up the Super Chat, or you can hit them up on PayPal or the Cash App. We thank you. Peace.
Thank you. Peace.
Peace out.
Peace.